Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we'll be taking a look at something I think you'll find really fascinating. It's all about how Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that pyramid we all saw in Psych 101,
Yeah.
well, it can actually reveal the secrets to a happy and healthy relationship.
Interesting.
We'll be looking at this idea called hierarchy of needs within relationships to see how meeting those needs from like the very basic all the way up to the complex can really, truly make or break a partnership.
It's amazing how Maslow's theory can apply to two people. It was originally focused on individual motivation.
Right. And for anyone who maybe needs a refresher, Maslow's hierarchy has those five levels of needs:
Right.
physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and then self-actualization. You've probably seen that pyramid diagram
Oh, yeah.
with the physiological needs like food and water at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then self-actualization, like, achieving your full potential is all the way up at the top.
Right. And the key idea is that you generally need to have those lower level needs met before you can really focus on those higher ones. And guess what? It's the same for relationships.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's start at the bottom of the pyramid, like the base, with those physiological and safety needs. What does that even look like in a relationship? I mean, beyond just, making sure your partner eats their veggies.
Well, it goes beyond just like the basic survival stuff. Think about it like supporting each other's health goals, or even something as simple as like meal planning together. It might sound mundane, but even those small acts of collaboration can really like reduce stress and create a sense of teamwork.
That's so true. I remember when my partner and I started doing this like weekly meal prep thing, and it not only made us healthier, but it also like freed up so much mental energy during the week
Mm.
because we weren't constantly like, what are we going to eat?
Right, exactly. And then there's emotional safety. Feeling secure, trusted, knowing you have that financial stability with your partner. These are all crucial.
So it's like if your partner loses their job, you're not just offering like a shoulder to cry on, but you're also there to help them navigate that situation practically, emotionally.
Mm.
You're a team facing that challenge together.
Absolutely. Meeting those safety needs, it prevents those anxieties from just completely taking over and really keeps the relationship stable.
Okay, so we've got the foundation in place. So now we're moving up the pyramid to that warm and fuzzy level, love and belonging.
This is where things get really interesting. This level is all about feeling loved, accepted, and, like you truly belong.
So we're talking about open communication, expressing appreciation, spending quality time together, and creating those shared experiences that we view together.
Exactly. But it's not just about the two of you in this, like, bubble. Have you ever heard of Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory?
I don't know if I have now.
It highlights how your wider social network, including friends and family, can actually play a big role in a couple's sense of belonging and satisfaction.
Oh, yeah. It's like when your families get along and your friends genuinely love your partner, it creates this like amazing sense of unity and expands that circle of support.
Right. It reinforces your place within a larger social fabric, which can be really powerful for a relationship.
Okay, so we've got that like solid foundation, the loving connection. Now we're climbing higher to esteem needs. This one feels a bit trickier.
It is. Esteem is two sides: self-esteem, and then the recognition you get from other people. In a relationship, esteem is all about how you respect, value, and support each other's achievements.
So is celebrating those big wins, but also like the everyday effort. It's actively listening to your partner's aspirations and offering encouragement, but without like tearing them down with constant criticism.
Think about this. When your partner achieves something that they're really proud of, how do you respond? Do you celebrate with them authentically? Do you acknowledge their effort and offer like genuine praise?
Yeah.
That's how you nurture esteem.
And on the flip side, constantly belittling their accomplishments or like dismissing their goals can be so damaging. It's like chipping away at their confidence.
This actually ties in beautifully with John Bowlby's work on attachment theory. He found that those secure attachments, those healthy and trusting bonds, they're built on mutual respect and feeling valued by your partner.
So if you consistently feel seen and appreciated for who you are, that strengthens the very like core of your relationship.
Yes.
It's like building that foundation of trust that can weather any storm.
Exactly. Which brings us to the peak of the pyramid, self-actualization within a relationship. This is where we start to see how individual growth intertwines with the growth of the relationship itself.
Okay, so it's not just about reaching your own potential, but somehow doing that within the context of your partnership.
Think of it this way. A healthy relationship, it becomes a safe space for both partners to explore their passions and chase those dreams without judgment.
So it's like being each other's biggest cheerleaders, supporting your partner's decision to go back to school, encouraging them to try that new hobby they've always talked about, or just being there for them as they strive to, become the best versions of themselves.
It's about creating an environment where personal growth isn't seen as a threat to the relationship, but as something that actually enhances it.
This reminds me of Carl Rogers' person-centered theory, which emphasizes unconditional positive regard and empathy as the foundation for growth in any relationship.
It's all connected. These theories show us that when you feel truly accepted and loved for who you are, it unlocks your potential to grow. And that growth doesn't happen in spite of the relationship, but because of the love and support you find within it.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. So we've explored these 5 distinct levels of Maslow's hierarchy within a relationship, and it's clear how each level builds upon the one before it. But I have a feeling that there's even more to uncover here.
You're right. Maslow's theory doesn't exist in a vacuum. There are so many other psychological and sociological concepts that intersect with these ideas, adding even more depth to our understanding of healthy relationships.
Well, I'm ready to dive deeper. What other theories are we going to connect to Maslow's hierarchy?
Hold on tight, because in part two, we'll be exploring theories like Erikson's stages of psychosocial development and symbolic interactionism, just to name a few. We'll see how all these ideas fit together to create a richer understanding of what makes relationships thrive. It's fascinating how all these different theories can illuminate these different facets of relationships, even from different fields like psychology and sociology.
It's like they're all pieces of a puzzle, and when you start putting them together, you get a much clearer picture of the whole.
Yeah.
So which piece are we adding to the puzzle now?
Let's talk about Erikson's stages of psychosocial development.
Okay.
You probably remember learning about these in school. Each stage has its own developmental challenge.
Right, like that whole identity versus role confusion thing
Yeah.
teenagers go through.
Exactly. And guess what?
Yeah.
Several of Erikson's stages actually align perfectly with those needs we've been talking about with Maslow's hierarchy. For example, the stage of intimacy versus isolation. That's where young adults are, figuring out how to form those deep, meaningful connections.
Yeah.
It corresponds directly with that love and belonging level in Maslow's pyramid.
So you can't really achieve true intimacy without first feeling loved and accepted, both within the relationship, but also within your wider social circle.
Precisely. It's like two sides of the same coin. And this highlights how these developmental stages aren't just about individual growth, but also about how we relate to others.
Okay, so Erikson helps us see how our individual development impacts our relationships. What other perspective can we add to this conversation?
Let's shift gears a bit and look at a sociological perspective called symbolic interactionism. This theory kind of delves into how couples create shared meanings and rituals that strengthen their bond.
Oh, I love this. It's like those inside jokes you have, or like those silly nicknames, or even like those special traditions that only you two share. Those seemingly small things become so meaningful and unique to your relationship.
Exactly. They become symbols of your connection. And all those seemingly insignificant interactions, well, they create a shared world that only the two of you truly understand. And it really reinforces that feeling of us against the world.
It's like building your own secret language, which is kind of romantic when you think about it.
Absolutely. And then there's social exchange theory, which brings in a bit more of a practical lens. It suggests that relationships involve this kind of unspoken negotiation,
Okay.
this give and take, where both partners are contributing and receiving in ways that feel, fair and fulfilling.
So it's not just about one person constantly giving while the other takes.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where both partners feel like their needs are being met and valued equally.
Exactly. Think of it like a dance. Both partners need to be in sync, taking turns leading and following to create something beautiful and harmonious.
This is making me realize just how many layers there are to a healthy relationship. We've got these fundamental needs, individual development, social influences, and this constant exchange of giving and receiving. It's a lot to juggle.
It is. But the beauty of exploring all these different theories is that it gives us a language to talk about all these complex dynamics. It helps us understand not just what's happening in our relationships, but also why.
So how do we take all this theoretical knowledge and actually apply it to our own lives? Because I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear how they can use these insights to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships.
That's a great question, and it's exactly what we'll be diving into in part 3. We'll explore how Maslow's hierarchy, along with these other theories we've discussed, can provide a practical roadmap for, navigating the ups and downs of any relationship.
Sounds like we've got a lot more ground to cover.
We do.
Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back with part 3. All right, we're back and ready to tackle the big question. How do we actually use all this knowledge about Maslow, Erikson, all those other theories to improve our own relationships?
Well, you can think of Maslow's hierarchy as a sort of checklist, right, for a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Are those basic needs for safety and security being met?
Right.
Are you both feeling loved and connected?
Yeah.
Are you supporting each other's growth and celebrating those wins? It really provides a framework for understanding what's essential.
So it's not enough to just intellectually grasp these concepts.
No.
We need to actively look at our own relationships, see where those needs might be falling short.
Absolutely. And that's where communication becomes so crucial. It's about creating a space where you can, openly and honestly talk about your needs and expectations without fear of judgment.
So it's not like a one-time State of the Union conversation, but like an ongoing dialogue.
Yes.
That evolves as your relationship grows and changes.
Exactly. Think of it like tending a garden.
Okay.
You don't just plant the seeds and walk away.
Right.
You need to water them, weed them, and provide the right conditions for them to flourish. Relationships are the same way.
Yeah, they require that ongoing care and attention.
Yeah.
But let's be real, even the most well-tended gardens get hit with the occasional storm.
Oh, yeah.
What about those inevitable challenges, the ones that every relationship faces?
Yeah.
How do we navigate those rough patches?
Well, that's where resilience comes in. It's that ability to weather those storms,
Yeah.
the conflicts, the disappointments, the external stressors, without letting them completely derail the relationship.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about having the tools and mindset to work through those challenges together.
Exactly. And remember how we talked about those different levels of needs in Maslow's hierarchy?
Okay.
Well, often when those needs are disrupted or unmet, that's when that conflict arises.
Ah, that makes sense. Imagine a couple going through financial stress. That's a direct threat to their sense of security.
Yes.
If they don't have a strong foundation of trust and communication, that stress could easily spiral into resentment and blame.
Exactly. But a couple with strong resilience would approach that situation as a team.
Yeah.
They brainstorm solutions, communicate openly about their fears, and maybe even, lean on their support network to get through that tough time.
So resilience is like a buffer, I guess.
Yeah,
It prevents those external pressures from cracking the foundation of the relationship.
that's a great way to put it. And another tool that can strengthen resilience is mindfulness.
Okay, I've heard a lot about mindfulness. How does that actually help with relationship conflicts?
Well, think about it. When things get, heated, we tend to react impulsively.
Yeah.
We say things we don't mean, or we let our emotions completely take over. Mindfulness encourages us to, pause, take a breath, and respond with intention instead of reacting out of habit.
So it's about creating that space between that trigger and your response.
Yeah.
Giving yourself a chance to choose a more skillful approach.
Exactly. And that can be a game changer in those heated moments. It allows you to de-escalate the situation and find solutions that work for both of you.
This is making me realize that resilience isn't something you're just born with or without. It's like a muscle.
Right. Yes.
And that gets stronger the more you use it. And all those skills we've been talking about, communication, empathy, mindfulness, those are the exercises that build that resilience muscle.
You've got it. And the more you practice those skills, the more equipped you'll be to handle whatever challenges life, throws your way.
Wow. This deep dive has been such an eye-opener.
It has.
We started with Maslow's hierarchy, explored all these fascinating interconnected theories, and ended up with a whole toolkit for building stronger, more resilient relationships.
And it's amazing how much we can learn from simply taking the time to examine those everyday interactions and understand those deeper dynamics at play.
And for our listeners who are eager to delve deeper into these concepts, we'll be sure to include links to all the theories and resources we mentioned in our show notes.
Absolutely. There's a wealth of knowledge out there just waiting to be explored.
Well, on that note, it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into Maslow's hierarchy and the secrets to a healthy relationship. A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their insights.
It was my pleasure.
And to all of you listening, remember, building a fulfilling relationship is a journey, not a destination. So stay curious, keep learning, and never stop nurturing those connections that make life so rich.